I'm a punk rocker and I try to be as independent and self-reliant as possible, so I'm learning how to homestead. Welcome to Punksteading. Let's get started. Hey guys, Hannah here. A quick update about the weather before we begin. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's April 11th and it's snowing. It's a very, very wet snow. I'll try to take you over to the other window so you can see it there. Maybe you can see it a little bit, or maybe you can't, I don't know. There's just really, really wet flakes falling, nothing's sticking. It's not even like freezing outside, it's like 30-some degrees. But yeah, that's happening on April 11th. And it's, oh my god, it's crazy right now. I'm going to be looking up and watching it while I'm talking to you guys because it's absolutely insane here. You see it? I hope so. Anyway, the snowy weather is not what I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit. And up. There. Learning as we go. The snow is not what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I actually wanted to talk to you about the other half of the other half of why I made this channel. And we should have talked about it a long time ago because it's in the name. So, you see a lot of homesteading type stuff here on my channel, and it's a lot of how-tos, and it's a lot of I'm trying things for the first time, and it's a lot of I made these mistakes, please don't make these mistakes so your garden will do better than mine. But we really haven't talked about the punk rock aspect of my life and how that truly did influence my decision to do homesteading. And a lot of people have different decisions on why they do homesteading. You know, they're fed up with the system, or they want their kids to have better food, or to go to homeschool, or they want to live off grid, or, you know, whatever. Mine was it stemmed from punk rock. And I wanted to give you guys a little more personal video, a little more conversational video about how I currently view punk rock in my life, because it's still very active. And how I kind of came to find it and its influence it's had on me personally. So before we begin, obviously I don't look like the traditional punk rocker. I don't have the Liberty spikes or wear the leather jacket with the safety pins all the time. I do sometimes, I have one in my closet. But most of the time it really manifests in the music I listen to, which is copyrighted, so I can't really play the Ramones for you guys, or else I would all the time. And in little stuff like this. So I picked this little jacket up at Goodwill, and then I made this gigantic patch for it. And this is just like a piece of canvas that I painted. And I really like doing stuff like this. I have a leather jacket that I did the same thing with, and it's got pins and like bunches of patches and buttons on it. But this is just really fun to do, and I like that it has a message, and I like that it has both aspects of my personality on it, and I'll probably wear it while I do errands today. It's another benefit of living where I live. Most people might stare at you, but they won't stop you for wearing something like this, and I really enjoy being around people that are like, okay, I can get behind it, which is nice. Like I mentioned before, music is still a very big part of it. I just can't play you guys any of the music I listen to because of copyright issues. I myself still play music. Piano is my instrument of choice, even though I can bang out a couple like bass lines that are super easy on the bass, or a couple chords on the guitar. Piano is my instrument of choice, And I can't fit a piano in here, so I usually go to the university and play on their practice rooms every once in a while. So like every single university in their music building has like soundproof practice rooms. Go find them. Even if you're not a student, you're technically supposed to be a student, go find them. If you don't have a piano and want to play the piano, go there. And don't get intimidated by the music majors either. They're going to play circles around you. You just bang out what you want. It'll be fine. So before I get into how it did personally influence my life, I did want to go into a little bit of history of punk rock. I touched on this on my introduction video, but I wanted to bring it up again because it's very, very valid, especially where I live here. So we saw punk rock first manifest in the late 70s, early 80s, and you first saw it in the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, the New York Dolls. That was the first kind of style we saw, and it wasn't really hardcore. It was just like people doing something a little bit different. If you really want to get a taste for it, go listen to the Flesh Eaters album, A Minute to Pray, a Second to Die. So the Flesh Eaters is the artist, album name is A Minute to Pray, a Second to Die. And it gives you a really good taste of that era. And it's not your traditional punk music. It's got a saxophone and a xylophone in there, and it's just blah, and it's really cool, and it's very rhythmic. It plays with a bunch of different rhythms, which I really like. And it was just kind of played in an underground club setting for a couple of years, and it was amazing, and people just ate it up. So that was kind of your first style that you saw, and then later on it manifested into really fast, loud, hardcore songs, like minute-long songs. And then it went into grunge, and then it went into noise bands, and then it just kind of had different branches of itself, which is also really, really cool. There's an amazing book called Our Band Could Be Your Life that explores all of those different branches. And I really enjoyed that book. It taught me a lot. Another thing about punk rock is that so many people think that hippies and punk rockers are just two totally different people, and that's very, very false. They're just a different generation. In fact, if you read Our Band Could Be Your Life, if you read any other like punk rock autobiography, biography, Anarchy Evolution, and the Alice Bag Band are two other really, really good ones, you will notice that the 60s hippie psychedelic culture movement is referenced a lot. And that is because the punk rock kids had that same feeling of unrest and, hey, something's not right in our society and we want to change it type thing. And truly the 60s was a decade for the people. I mean, their voices were heard. And that's kind of what the punk rockers ached for, really. It was just a different generation, 60s versus late 70s, early 80s. And the punk rockers did do it a little bit differently. Of course, you had your hippies that preached, free love and let's all come together and work together and make things right. And the punk rockers were, kind of more, okay, something's not right. We are going to be heard and we are going to be seen and you are going to listen to us. Not only that, another very stark difference, and I really resonated with this difference, was the hippie culture was, okay, let's come together, let's make something beautiful together. Whereas the punk rock culture is more, hey, leave me alone, stop scrutinizing me for no good reason, let me do my thing in peace. So even though there is kind of like a tribe feeling in punk rock, because you get together and you mosh and you have a good time, there is an overlying theme of just speaking to society and being like, society, please just leave me alone, let me do my thing, stop scrutinizing every aspect of my life. And I do really, really resonate with that message. So, because of that overlying theme, and of course because of the theme of independence, I'm going to do what I want, I'm not going to let anybody stop me, and even later down the road with the Riot Girl movement, themes of feminism came out, anarchy. If you want to do a political talk about punk rock, I can definitely provide that for you. There's so many social and political issues punk rock has influenced, but that's a whole nother conversation, and I'm going to have to really get prepared for that one. So if you want, just let me know. But yeah, out of, these first really influential bands, you have the Flesh Eaters, the Cramps, the Minutemen, that Black Flag, which I have a tattoo of on my ankle, X, let's see, Big Black, No Religion, Bad Religion, Suicidal Tendencies. That's a really good band to listen to the transition of punk through the ages. Just listen to their albums in chronological order. Bad Religion as well. Minor Threat, they were straight edge. All of these really, really amazing bands kind of came to me at a very confusing part of my life. And before we go any further, I do want to touch on the fact that yes, punk rock did kind of evolve, or I guess devolve, into a violent side. There were a lot of people who came to the scene later on who were just there for the violence, but that's really not what it stood for at all. It just stood for, we want to do what we want. We're not resonating with any of the, hair metal, with the disco, with the pop music that's out there. We're going to make our own stuff. And these kids weren't out looking to beat each other up. They just wanted to play their music and have a good time. The violent end came on really, really later on, and a lot of those original people who formed the punk scene ended up leaving because they weren't about that. And I don't know, I really respect that. However, because it got so violent, punk rockers were like, we're not in the business of preaching what you guys can do as an audience. So sometimes it did get violent because the punk rockers were like, we're one and the same. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not above you. So take that as you will. But I really resonated with that community, and I really resonated with those themes. That came to me at a very confusing part of my life. So a little backstory about me. I grew up in a very rural town in North Carolina. We had, a gas station and a post office and a diner. And I was a weird kid, man. I was a weird kid. I just never felt like I fit in. I had a lot of anxieties. I had to strive to be perfect, or else I felt like I failed. And later on in life, I realized that this was a serious anxiety disorder, and I had to deal with that. And punk rock helped me deal with that because it helped me find my independence and my confidence. But because of those anxieties, I just never was able to make a bunch of friends. I was never able to communicate with children my own age. I had to constantly tell myself to be perfect, to make straight A's, or else I would be a failure. Shout out to my best friend Mary. We've been friends since kindergarten, and she was the weird kid with me. And I remember us sitting on the playground collecting ladybugs while everybody else was running around being weird. We were just content to just sit there and chill and collect ladybugs. And I miss you, Mary. We need to get together, and yeah, I miss you. I love you, bro. So these sort of anxieties really took a toll on my childhood, and then into high school, and then into college. I had these anxieties that I couldn't identify. I didn't even know classified as anxieties until I was in college, guys. And by then, I was severely depressed, and I had isolated myself to the point of I didn't talk to anybody. Luckily, Mary went to the same college as me, and she was my freaking lifeline during that time because I pushed everybody else away, and I didn't talk to anybody. And I did not talk to anybody. I went to class, and I avoided group projects like the plague. I would go to the teacher and be like, I don't want to do this by myself. I would go back to my dorm, I would do my homework, and I would go sleep. And then that was, my day. Within that time, I did get a job at the library, and my boss, of all people in the library, recognized that I was kind of into reading and I was kind of into music, and he eventually, he engaged me in conversation, and eventually he recommended me so many albums and artists. And it wasn't just punk rock. I mean, we had, Black Flag and the Jesus Lizard and Flipper, and of course the Flesh Eaters, the Cramps. But there was also, Robert Johnson. There was also weird reggae beats. There was also an entire album full of songs made from people in prison, or it's entitled Prison Songs. And it was so weird. All of these things I had never heard music like that. I had never heard any messages like that. And here were these kids just screaming that they were different too. And they weren't angry that they were different. They were angry that society, that the people on the outside didn't get it, They were angry and frustrated and just sick and tired of the status quo, and I ate it up, guys. It changed my life, because for so long I had had expectation upon expectation upon expectation put on me, that I was in college for no other reason than I was expected to go to college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be in school anymore. I never enjoyed school. It was always a point of constant anxiety, of constant I had to be perfect. And finally, through music, I could take all of those anxieties and frustrations and that anger that came with all of those stupid expectations and push it out. And I could push it out through literally screaming. And it was okay. And I was finally able to let it go. And not necessarily let it go, but get it out. It didn't eat away inside anymore. It had a place to go, and it had a place to go. And through that time of discovering punk rock and listening to punk rock and having it resonate with my personality and my being, I realized that I was gonna make my own decisions. I wasn't gonna let other people influence my decisions anymore. I was going to do what I wanted to do. I was going to go where I wanted to go. And even if I Sorry guys, my camera died right when I was getting into it. But anyway, through this time of discovery of this music, I found my self-confidence and my independence. I wasn't going to let anybody make my decisions for me. I was going to go where I wanted to go. I was going to do what was fun. I was going to do what I wanted, guys. And that kind of worked out pretty well. So I graduated college a semester early, not with a great GPA, just because I wanted to get out. I didn't want to be there anymore. And because I had an interest in punk rock, but also I had a major interest in wildlife biology and all things nature, I started doing various seasonal jobs all across the country for several years. I got to do so many cool things, like be a park ranger, or study bison, or butterflies, or work at a fish hatchery in Idaho, or work a season with birds here in Oregon. And it was just really, really fun. And through all of those times, some of my decisions were really, really stupid, but you know what? They were mine. And I can take comfort in the fact that they were my decisions. I made them. And since I discovered punk rock, my life has been my life. Stupid decisions or not, they're mine. And I really find comfort in that, which is why I like homesteading so much. You are truly bringing into your home what you want and what you allow into your home. It's not dictated by the huge industrial agriculture that is the status quo for meat products anymore. It's not dictated by what's in the grocery store. It's not dictated by the products that like the beauty products or the cleaning products that are on the shelves. You decide what comes into your home, and that's kind of how it manifests right now. I did do the mosh scene and the really late night scene for a really long time, and it was super fun. But at this point in my life, punk rock is much more of a mindset and an overall outlook than going to a bar and staying out until 2 a.m. and listening to loud music and moshing. I'm tired, you guys. Like, I'm getting older, I'm tired. And a lot of my older, punk rock friends are like, yeah, I just want a peaceful life. I just want to be left alone and to be able to do my thing. And that's kind of what I'm transitioning into. And I'm totally okay with that. I had so much fun when I was younger and could mosh and could, do all these things, and I guess I still can if I wanted to. But I really just don't want to anymore. I want to create my own space, and I want to be left alone to do my own thing. And yeah, that's how it manifests. Again, the music is still very much there, and if we didn't have copyright issues, I would be playing everything for you guys. But it manifests in me making everyday choices for myself and my happiness. My self-confidence and my lifestyle come from punk rock. If I didn't have that influence, if I didn't have that pivotal moment where I finally realized that it was okay to be angry and frustrated and I could let it out somewhere, and in return, I could get self-confidence and independent mindset and, base in feminism and all these cool things, like, I don't know where I'd be. I was talking to someone from my hometown the other day, and they said, oh, well, it's so great to see you going back to your roots. And I paused, and it was a well-intended comment, absolutely, but I don't feel like I'm going back. I was so miserable for so long there, and I'm not backtracking. I'm not going back. I'm moving forward, and it's because of all of these different steps in my life that I am where I am today. It truly feels like I'm growing and I'm moving forward. And sure, maybe some of these interests were influenced by my childhood living in the countryside, but I don't feel like I'm going back to my roots. It definitely feels like a period of growth, and I'm going somewhere much better for me personally and much more peaceful for me personally. And it's all because of some loud, fast, angry sounding music that I discovered, in my late teens. So don't knock it till you listen to it, guys. It truly did change my life for the better. Alright, I am going to get started with the day. It finally stopped snowing in April. So I'm going to get outside and try to soak up some of the sunshine that's peeking out of the clouds. Bye guys. Be well. Listen to some cool music. Stay safe.